Greetings and welcome to That Works, a DreamWorks podcast featuring a happily unemployed photographer barely getting by on DoorDash, a disgruntled ex-journalist now writing Scott Pilgrim fan fiction, and a spineless, asthmatic 26-year-old curmudgeon sweeping movie theaters for a living. This is a podcast where we have gone through all the DreamWorks movies in chronological order. At least 2/3 of this table grew up with these movies, at least the first chunk of them. But this is something we decided to do a while back, and here we are finally getting our thoughts down for all you wonderful people at home. So before we start, I want to throw up a spoiler warning, because as much as it probably doesn't make sense for these 20-year-old kids' movies to have spoiler warnings, we don't want to take away any of the magic from these classics. So without further ado, we're going to kick off the DreamWorks podcast we're doing called, again, That Works, with Antz. Antz is about a neurotic worker ant named Z, who tires of the everyday life living in his colony. After falling in love with the rebellious Princess Bala, Z switches places with his soldier friend Weaver the day before the Queen's most loyal soldiers go off to war with the termites. The villainous General Mandible plans to rid the colony of the loyal soldiers and the Queen, while marrying Bala and claiming the throne of a new, better colony after he vanquishes all the inferior worker ants. So this is a movie that came out in 1998. And it made a pretty good chunk of money, and it's basically solidified DreamWorks as one of the big, what do you call them, animation studios today.
All right, so I'll go first. I'll start off by saying, first thoughts, it has almost been 15 years since I've even seen this movie, so I had to reincorporate myself back into it. It's fun! It's fun! It's fun! I actually enjoyed it. It's a little too serious at times. That's the only thing that might take away from it. But other than that, it's actually a good time, given that it's the first movie of DreamWorks. But yeah, those are my first thoughts on the movie.
Well, so you say it's been about 15 years for you. It's been about, what are we at now?
2021.
2022?
2021 right now.
No, it's 2021 right now, but it's been about 22 years for me since I've seen this. Like, I saw it the year it came out. So I remember thinking as a child, I remember being so excited to watch this movie because it was marketed as like this more adult thing than Disney. Like, and some of the jokes are kind of more adult-ish, but like, and, that's why it sticks out in my mind initially. Watching it now, it is definitely a bit different, but
it's aged interestingly, to say that.
That's a word for it.
That's definitely a way to put it.
Yeah, it's a movie I remember having these fever dreams about in recent years, because when you see it as a kid, you get it mixed up with A Bug's Life, even though they are completely different. They're just movies about ants that just happen to come out in the same year. There's a whole story behind that. We love you, Jeffrey Katzenberg. But you just have these weird things flash before your eyes, like, did they just show ants like slicing open termites, and are ants being like what is it, like I had like acid spewed all over them, and
yeah,
did we really cast Woody Allen in a kids movie?
Whoever thought that we should make a Woody Allen movie?
It basically is too.
Kids movie.
I've seen a handful of his movies, and he plays the exact same character that he always portrays in his movies.
Yeah.
And you'd think, oh, are they going to tone it down for a kids movie? Well, you'd think like, oh, they're going to take the cussing out. Well, they don't take all the cussing out.
How did it pass as a kids movie? Can anybody tell me how it actually passed as a kids movie?
Again, I don't think it was necessarily supposed to.
It's just like they're at the bar and he's like, "Oh, you're gonna drink that?" Weaver says it to him. I think it's Weaver.
Mm-hmm.
He's like, I find something repulsive or whatever about drinking out of another animal's anus, and I go,
It's like, yes, you heard that correctly.
rated PG.
They use the word anus.
And then like they when he basically kidnaps Paul, that's what it is.
It's essentially.
And she's not going to go with him, and he's just like, just to think I was going to include you in my erotic fantasies. I go,
yeah.
rated PG.
I mean, I guess they had to separate it from Bug's Life somehow. So, like, Bug's Life, that's too family friendly. We don't want that.
And I think this came out first. I should have written that down. I think they pushed it to come out before because they essentially stole the idea and didn't make as good of a movie. Some people think this is the better one, but I think the majority stands with A Bug's Life, especially after, I think you watched A Bug's Life most recently out of the three of us. And which one do you like better?
Oh, A Bug's Life. That's one of the things I wrote down about this movie. It's a story that I've just seen so many times. So many times. A quirky, out of the group person goes on an adventure and learns that it's okay to be out of the group or out of the normal, whatever it is.
Yes, because
and like if you compare that, I don't know how much comparing we actually want to do here, but if you compare
hard not to.
The visual style of it, like Antz is just bland.
I was thinking
like the textures are just ugh.
I agree with you, and on top of that is that also the textures and the colors.
Yeah, that was the other thing.
It's brown and it's murky.
I think what they're going for is Antz is like, look how photorealistic this is, where Bug's Life has a cartoonish edge
How is
to
that
it.
Photorealistic?
I didn't say it looked photorealistic. I just say I wonder if they're going for that angle.
Even like the yellow of the bees, though, is just kind of this mute, like
it's
mustard.
Yeah, it just looks. And granted, when did this come out? This was 98. So, I mean, granted for the times, but then again, you also have, like I said, Toy Story, and you have like Bug's Life that are actually colorful. Like, I just don't know how this passed.
Yeah. And let me reiterate to the people watching: we are not. Whenever we talk about the animation, we are never saying anything bad about the animators because they are the true MVPs of these movies. It's more about the deliberate choices that they put into like the color scheme and how things look. Like that's what we're getting at because we love animation.
There's no way of getting around with you work with what you have.
Yeah, that's true.
But
1998,
color palette like that's a choice.
Yeah, it definitely.
And how about those weird human legs? When they're like the whole scene where they're like getting stepped on and they're not attached to anything.
The hand with the magnifying glass, and I think there's a hand at like the picnic scene too. That freaked me out more. I was like, what is that?
Whereas A Bug's Life, it's like, those little itty bitty cracks in the ground, that's like the Grand Canyon. That's better than like, look at this giant detached human leg just coming in from above this far apart. It's like, are they bow-legged? Like, these are like way far apart. They're smashing down.
It just seems like, so out of place.
Yeah. I think also, well, this might be a different topic, but I think also the story, like, I just didn't understand, like, why is the general dude trying to make a master race of ants?
Yeah.
It doesn't.
Well, it's because he sees the worker ants as inferior. So I go, okay, you realize if you don't have them, you don't have like your home.
Exactly. Like you're talking about killing your.
No, I agree. It's like granted, it is a kids movie. It's marketed or
rated PG.
Yeah, it's rated PG. So like it's supposed to like attract kids, and I guess they're not gonna overthink it as much. But you still have to have some logic. Like I mean.
Suspension of disbelief.
Yeah, exactly. And I don't want to keep comparing it to Bug's Life or something like that, but like...
I mean, it's basically the same movie, so...
It is.
It's an easy comparison.
Yeah. Well, the interesting thing I just saw, like the human aspect, is where Bug's Life didn't really show any human. Like, actually...
Which works because they couldn't animate them as well.
Exactly.
That's what don't show. It's what you don't show.
Didn't they... The closest they come to it just... Wasn't it like a picnic table or a trash can?
Exactly. Yeah. It was a couple of objects.
Objects.
Because when you're animating the stuff in the 90s, Humans are hard to animate. We're still hard to animate. People still haven't gotten our faces down.
That tin toy short with that baby. That's still the scariest thing I've ever seen. Sorry, Exorcist. Sorry, Jaws. The scariest thing I've ever seen in a movie is that tin toy baby. And where it's like, oh my. Oh. Even today, you see those images, you go, but I think that won the Oscar. Because, yes, it's a big step forward in animation. It's like, I don't know what else to say. I'm seeing that image in my head. Oh.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
I remember sitting there this time, and I'm retracing the steps, because I'd seen it a couple years ago for the first time since a kid, so I had a better memory around this time.
Mm-hmm.
And as the movie's progressing, it's like, I don't really care about the plot, but for some reason, these characters are working on a weird level. There's something so enjoyable about it for how unremarkable it is. I don't know what it is. I'm like, they nailed their characters in the early days. Like, every movie you can at least say, wow, they at least got the characters fairly well. These aren't super in-depth characters, but I'm having a good time, and that's how it made money.
Yeah, as long as I think that's a good way to put it. They hit the perfect bare minimum of giving us enjoyable characters. And I will say, like, the actual voice talent behind it is moderately okay. It really is.
I mean, that's a pretty big cast.
Exactly.
Oh. I still can't wrap my head around what happened in the kids' movie.
Just seems like it shouldn't work. And it mostly doesn't. But it's okay, honestly. It's okay. I will say that.
It's a couple good moments, like when he's like moping at the bar while they're all doing the weird Aunt Macarena thing that's really slow, and he's like just a bunch of mindless zombies, and she goes, "Hi, you want to dance?" Absolutely. Okay, that's good. Also, but then I have to bring up Sylvester Stallone having the last line of the movie. After everything, I think it's Jennifer Lopez says, like, "You still owe me that day," and she kisses him, and he goes, "Baby love." Oh, yeah. I think I out loud just let out a oh. That's the last. I think it's the last line of the movie.
That's definitely that's a great note to end on.
I don't know. Apart from that, he was probably my favorite character.
That's fair, honestly. Yeah.
Again, fun. Everyone's just fun. You could tell, okay, I think he might have taken a lower or no salary. I thought I read something like that.
Oh, yeah,
just to be in it. It was supposed to be someone. I thought it was something like that. I probably should have researched that better.
But I remember, I think you mentioned that, like, to actually try to sell the movie, to, like, go out and market it, right?
I think it was just to save money on the budget or something. DreamWorks tends to do that thing where, because I think people mentioned how Disney Pixar didn't do this yet. You get the big cast of big name actors. Because you look at this cast list we put down, those are all pretty big names.
They really are. It really, really is. I am impressed with that. And let's not forget that it got a 92. It somehow got a 92% on Rotten Tomatoes. I'm not sure how.
So here's the thing. One of my friends always tells me that you can't evaluate a piece of work outside the context of its time.
Of course.
And inside the context of its time, if it actually did come out before A Bug's Life. And because it is PG and has more adult-ish jokes, I think that kind of weird combo of we're still very enthralled with the new technology that this is. Mm-hmm. Also, we can watch it as adults and find it funny. Lends to that, because on the story alone, I can't see how it gets there. I mean, look at the difference. I mean, the right side of this is the user score, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Look at that discrepancy.
Yeah, exactly. It's 52. Yeah, it's definitely low.
As of right now, at least, those things tend to fluctuate over time.
That's fair.
The thing is,
percent.
Yeah, I like to be accurate on these things. If I'm going to make a packet, it's going to be good. Anyway, I think again the point is when it comes out in the context of that, because 20-some years later, we're like,
why would they even try?
Like, this is the type of movie, like,
there's nothing to compare it to.
To not to skip ahead, but like when I was researching Sinbad for when we're going to talk about that, I saw there were like some sequels, but they were all animated like that, and they looked like ants. And it's the type of thing you see on like Nick Jr.
I have
right
wonder if, and again, like actually researching and knowing like how they animate that stuff, if it's just easier. If it's just like some of like the backgrounds and just like the way they draw, like obviously 2D still is a lot of work. And I'm not trying to like crap talk the animators because what they do is a lot of hard work.
Oh yeah, like again,
But
you work with what you have.
Exactly.
Antz is a 92. Sorry, I'm not trying to get hung up on. It's just funny.
Yes, it is.
Also, I mentioned how there are Woody Allen moments in the movie that I laughed at, and I'm laughing a lot because I'm familiar with the character, so I'm like, okay, I can recognize this is how he always acts. And then there are times because of recent controversies where he like purrs at her, and that was one of the worst cringy moments of the whole movie where they say his name and he was like, oh,
yeah.
I had to pause the movie and take a shower.
I will say it was in light of the recent what came out about him. It is a little bit harder to watch knowing those things.
Well, they didn't just come out. They've been public knowledge for a while. I think it's because the HBO thing had just come out. While we're recording this, the HBO docuseries thing had just ended.
It just ended, and it's still a big deal. And so
it's just how things change in the years after. It's like
one of those things you just.
I think this was only like 5 or 6 years after the first wave of those controversies started or were brought to light.
That sounds
We're still in that time. It's like we're gonna make him the main character. Okay.
Yeah.
One, I didn't know anything about that. I'll have to research that now.
Oh, boy.
Two, also, it's a thing I find with these older movies like this. That like a lot of the jokes written, like they just wouldn't fly right now. A lot of the jokes written just would not get a green light. So it would be interesting to see someone. It's one of those scenarios where if you start thinking about it, it'd be interesting to see someone go back and like remake it.
I would be curious to see
write it today.
A more of a modern take on it. Which, interesting thing, I don't know why my brain just connected this. I feel like a modern take on that would act and feel a lot more like a Disney Pixar movie because now, well, not now, but they've slowly really been working on trying to like make their movies like entertaining for adults and kids alike. And I think that Antz was a big swing, like a big trying to really make this for adults and kids.
Well, it's because of Toy Story.
Oh, exactly.
Because both like Toy Story. So it's like everything since then, even just anytime. It's trying to be catering to both.
Yeah.
Because it's like, hey, if kids like it, they want to keep coming back. But if parents like it, they don't mind watching it again.
Actually,
it doesn't have to be in theaters, just buying it.
Because guess what? The parents are who have the money. The kids are just walking themselves there and paying.
This is one I don't mind watching and hearing 10,000 times.
Exactly.
Yep. So just Toy Story did it, and everyone's like, what? You can do that? So now it's like, there's always the adult jokes, and a lot of times they're not hidden very well. And it's like, there's a difference between like a subtle adult joke that a kid won't get and like just straight up like bathroom humor.
Yeah. It's definitely a line that Antz hit a couple times. They had a couple of decent, but like most of them felt like it was just kind of standing like, oh, this one's for the adults. Okay, and back to your kid-related story.
Yeah, I can get on board with that.
Yeah, it's kind of
just thinking about the story, like you were saying with the Outcast thing. It's like it is, but I think it feels like they wrote it and then had Woody Allen be the main character because it's like you're trying to make him. He's the standout. He's saying individualism matters. But then it becomes for the good of the colony. Like we all have to band together. So I'm like,
somehow,
which one are we doing?
Somehow,
I guess you could do that for his character arc, but at the same time, you're trying to promote individuality in a colony where everyone.
Being individual is good for the. Yeah,
I'm not sure we could be misreading it even. Maybe
I think I would read that as a misinterpretation in that I would say that they are trying to say individuality is an important piece of teamwork.
Okay.
Because what makes teamwork work?
Me.
Yes. This is the
me
moment where
entering-
you're supposed to say your stupid little whatevers, and I look right at you and I botch the delivery, and you just say me. See, now don't even say it now. I was trying to build up to a dumb joke, and you can't even.
No, sorry.
Go ahead.
What is it? What makes the dream work?
The teamwork.
Wow, that sounded super defeated, Dickey.
Like, you led me into it. I'm like, I'm not going to say it. I'm not going
to say it.
I'm not going to say it.
I won't bow to you.
I will not say your let up jokes. No.
Although my dad did show me the other day that there is an I in team. It's kind of hilarious.
Let me write it out.
You're going to have to explain this one to me exactly where you see the I. There's a T, E, A, and M.
You can spell. I'm proud of you.
Here, give me the pen.
I'm not great, but I got basic first grade words.
Okay, where is it?
So,
Weren't we talking about ants?
Oh, yeah, ants.
Oh, well, let's see the I in team first.
all right. Hold on.
Again, this...
This has enthralled everyone.
Especially our audio-only listeners.
Oh,
You
yeah.
can really
They're
see
really
what
going
you're
to see what's
drawing.
going on here.
Really imagine him writing the word team.
And it's going to be really hard, too. All right. There's the word team, right?
Okay.
What's that?
An E.
No, the thing my finger's on.
It looks the E.
No, it's an A, dude. Right here.
You were pointing like this.
Shut
You
up.
were
My
pointing
hands are
like-
crippled.
You were pointing at the E. I'm sorry.
Right there where the circle is. It's an I.
Yeah, if you draw it like that. That's
If you draw it like that, that was the joke.
Oh
You
my
ruined
gosh.
the joke.
Well, it's not a very good joke.
Hey, I mean, my dad told it. You love all my dad's jokes.
Yeah, when
so,
he tells it.
Anyway, ants.
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 Ants. Any final thoughts?
Honestly, I enjoyed the movie enough. It was good enough. That's
Good
kind
enough.
That's kind of where I'm holding at right now with this. Like, I enjoyed parts of it. Oh, the animation, okay.
It's a start.
It's a start. DreamWorks' first movie. They have to start somewhere. You're only going to get better from your first movie. This was a good first movie for DreamWorks.
Rated PG.
Gee. That's where I'm at. That's where I'm at right now.
I think I have a lot of nostalgia for the movie just because of how I felt about it. How I felt about like the marketing when it first came out. Looking at it now, it does not tickle my fancy. It's a bit hard to get through.
It's kind of aging like,
But
Kraft shredded cheese.
you mean how it gets all melty and sticky in the bag?
Yeah, and we still eat it.
Oh, and it's mushy looking. It's mushy.
And the metaphor comes together.
Nice.
And I'm lactose intolerant.
Really all
So
ties
we
it
have
together.
everything
There we go.
on the table.
That's okay. You didn't really like cheese to begin with. Does that mean you didn't really like ants to begin with?
I like ants. I'll say it. I like ants. It's unremarkable outside of the fact that it's a first movie. And because they allegedly pushed them to get it out first, you can see it's probably a little rushed. Again, don't want to say anything negative about the animators. They're working with the best of what they have, and they're always the MVP of the movie.
Always.
I watch this, and it's kind of a mess, but there's just something so enjoyable about that mess. I really, really like watching the mess every couple years. I'm not going to sit down and I want to go home and watch Ants.
Good
No,
free watch.
but
I mean, it is worth noting that it's the only free one on Amazon Prime.
There you go, kids.
thanks,
Go out-
Amazon Prime.
Thanks, Amazon Prime. Go out and watch Ants, kids.
What a movie. What a movie.
You could say that.
Can't believe I never recognized the cursing as a kid. It probably is a testament to the movie, but watching it now, it's like, wow, that's more than like once or twice. They just keep saying whatever they want. And
Yeah. See, I think that's why I think it was marketed more towards adults for me because I was 12 and I heard the cursing.
it's the original Sausage Party. They pushed the animators to get it done. It was geared more towards adults. It's, hey, this isn't Disney. That's it. Antz, the original Sausage Party.
Antz.
Antz.
Okay.
Well,
And outro.
next movie is one that many people hold dear. They think of fondly. I know I do, and it's The Prince of Egypt. We've all seen it before, and we get to do a nice deep dive into The Prince of Egypt next. And
I'm ready.
yeah, that was Antz. Glad you could join us for That Works, a DreamWorks podcast featuring, as we didn't say before, Dickey, Jake, and I'm Jared. We'll see you next time.